Hello, everybody, and welcome to the FFC show. My name is Thomas Harkin. Today, I'm joined by Lee Grinrod, the striking coach from Valhalla Martial Arts in Weymouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand it over to Lee to give himself a bit of an introduction. Over to you, brother.
Hello, mate. As you said, I'm Lee. I am the head striking coach at Valhalla Martial Arts in Weymouth. I've been there now for about 5 years. Prior to that, I had my own gym, TMT, Team Muay Thai. And before that, I trained out of King Tiger Weymouth, which was about 10 years ago now. Unfortunately, our coach passed away, so the club got disbanded and it all sort of, fell apart. But yeah, apart from that.
No, that's
So yeah.
fit. That's cool, man. So one of the first thing and the biggest question is what got you into training? What started you?
So what got me into Thai boxing? Well, I was picked on a little bit as a kid. I've got a bit of a distinguished limp, and some other little issues. Like I've got a scar on my stomach and just, like the name calling and that sort of stuff. And I just thought to myself, well, I want to be able to defend myself if it ever goes past just name calling.
Yeah.
So I kind of got into a little bit of boxing to start with, and then Tom, my former coach, lived at the bottom of my road. And it was just in conversation that I said I wanted to get into something, and he was like, "You should come down the gym." And I was a bit like, "Yeah, maybe sometime, I will." And he was like, "No, do it. Training's tonight, 6 o'clock. I'll see you there." And I was a bit like, "Oh, all right." And that was basically where it all started. So I just got into Thai boxing as a bit of a fitness thing and to sort of learn how to defend myself, and then ended up falling in love with the sport. And so I've been at it now like almost 18 years now. So
It's mad, isn't it? Like I that's the
yeah,
same thing as me. I got a bit of shit growing up when I was in school, and I wanted the same aspect. Like I wanted to be able to, where you can rely on yourself. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
when you find a gym then as well, and then you find a coach, and then it's such a like a reinforcement feeling, isn't it? Where you kind of like, you can do everything that you get asked of,
yeah.
and no,
Just knowing you have the capabilities, not like I go out, what I mean, walking around the streets looking for fights or
oh
anything,
yeah, of
but
course.
just nice to be able to know if you are put in that situation that you can defend yourself and do a good job of it at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
So obviously you said that you kind of like stumbled into Thai boxing. So did you ever touch on like MMA or jiu-jitsu or anything like that?
No, obviously as I mentioned at the beginning, I've got a bit of an issue with my hip.
Hmm.
So I was born with a hip dysplasia issue, which is called Perthes disease. It basically stops and inhibits the shape of the hip. So when I was born, it's basically a different shape in the actual socket. So
Okay.
it sort of stops a lot of movement. So things like sitting down and crossing my legs, I can't sit down and cross my legs. Never been able to. If I sit down and put my legs out in front of me, one leg will turn out like it should. One will just stay sort of fixed. I have very limited internal rotation of the hips. So things like jujitsu, passing guard, all that sort of stuff, it's just never really been like if I'm laying on my back and someone pushes down on my left leg, I will just roll over. So there's
Oh,
just
fair.
no. So yeah, I just thought the jujitsu stuff, you know what I mean? The whole pajama wearing thing's not really my sort of cup of tea anyway, but I just sort of stayed away from it, mate. I prefer punching people and getting punched, not really rolling around. So
That's fair
yeah,
enough. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. So obviously you just fell in love with Muay Thai straight away. Then, as obviously you said, it's getting punched and punching people back, and that's the thing
yeah,
with Thai, isn't it? You got such a even though you've got so many, I'm not going to say a limited amount of weapons, but because obviously you've got a set amount of weapons, you've got that freedom to kind of like do everything as well. I mean,
yeah. As I say, for me, it was the brutal side of it. It was like I did a little bit of boxing and it just didn't quite, scratch that itch. And then I
Mm.
found the Muay Thai through Tom, and it was just a whole like, wow, what is this? Like I can kick people, I can knee, I can elbow, I can grab all of the back of your head and just drive knees in until you drop it. For me, that was just like it just shows, like for me, it was like the ultimate warrior. Like
Yeah.
if you were fighting someone, you can use all these weapons, and if you can still stand there at the end after 5 rounds, 3 rounds, or whatever, win, lose or learn, you still got in
Mm.
there, you still had it off. And for me, that was like the biggest thing. That was the test, almost like getting in there and being, with someone who is also a fighter, and you both got pretty much the same sort of limited skills, or and then just sort of re-having it off. And for me, mate, that was the be all and end all. As soon as I sort of got my first fight, I think I was training about 6, 7 months, and I got my first fight, and it was a first round stoppage, and I was like, "This is it. This is what I want to do. This is, you know, I want to be a fighter. I want to get punched in the face for a living."
And it opens something up in you, doesn't it? It just awakens something. That first, like, I've got a couple of stories that, you always reference back to whenever you're speaking to the boys. If things get tough in the gym or whatever, you've got those things that like, but then you've got that reference where it's like that first time where the fighter kind of really awoken inside me. And then that no matter what you get put in front of, as you said, you get put in front of somebody else, that you're going to do everything in your power to kind of like beat that person. And I found as well that after my first fight, the same kind of thing happened. You're just kind of like, right then. So what's next now then?
Yeah.
you know?
See, for me, I went like, I think it was 9-0, all wins. And then it was like my 10th fight. I fought someone who I previously beat. So I beat him for Southern Area title, and then we fought again. We drew, and then we fought again then for a British title, an ISCA title, and he beat me, and it was on points. But as I say, for me, that was like the biggest learning curve. I think I wish it happened earlier. That makes sense, because it was almost like I got to 9 fights, 10 fights, and I was like, I'm untouchable. No one can beat me. And then to be beaten on points, and I was like, what? What's going on here? It made no sense to me. I couldn't seem to get my head around it, and I really struggled. And I say this to a lot of my guys now, like when they're first starting off in the sport, like, if you do get your loss early, take that as a win, because you've experienced what it feels like to lose, and you can instantly build off that. For me, it was almost like I was winning and winning, I was winning. Oh, there's bits you can change, Leo. Nah, don't worry about that, mate. I'm winning. I don't need to change nothing. Everything I'm doing is correct. Everything's working. And then when you do get beat, and you look at the holes in your game, and you think, I could have changed that beforehand. I could have done something different. For me, it's always been, I walk around at like 120 kilos. So I'm 6'4" at 120 kilos. So for me, running and cardio have never been my strong point. That's something I've always struggled with. So, when it was right now, I've got a big fight coming up. Like when I first fought for a world title, it was like, I have to get my fitness up. And that fight lasted 12 seconds. So I kind of wish I didn't bother. But, there's always the way in it. Like the fight that I took before that, as I say, my fitness wasn't the best. And I was like, I'm just getting there and slug it out. And I did that. And the guy knew he was going to be fitter than me and just picked me apart for 5 rounds, really. So it was still a loss on points. It wasn't like I was ironed out or anything. But still, that was always the biggest one for me. It was like, and that's the story I always go back to for the lads. Like whenever they mention anything, it gets tough in the gym or this and that. I'm like, mate, there's nothing worse than being 5 rounds deep in the corner. Your coach is just screaming at you. You've got absolutely nothing left to give, and you've still got 2 minutes left of the round. You've got to just survive. And this is where like the real strength and character for me come out. It was like before, as I say, every other fight, it's not easy, but they were easier fights. They were almost like I breathed through them.
No, I know what you mean.
Take that loss. It was like this is where I need to actually build.
Because it pushes you to that, like a loss is a different like a different state of mind, isn't it? It puts you into a different place where, like, I remember my first loss, I acted like a fucking child. I threw my mouth guard and fucking everything. Do you know what I mean? But I was fighting MMA. I'd be totally honest with you, I got fucking laid on for 3 rounds. It was bollocks, but yeah, not salty at all. Like you can tell by it, but but
no, don't sound it, mate.
no, not at all. But it was though. It was like that's the thing. You do learn from that. You need to take that. You need, as you said, you take that loss as a gain, and you kind of like you build on. You go forward. And you think, right, what's next now? How can I benefit? How can I get better at something? As you said, find the holes and then run with them and fill them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, that's
and
good.
I'm quite lucky in respect of with the coaching and that. I was to say a lot of my guys they've had their wins and they've had their losses. So for me as a coach, that it's almost like a benefit because I can say, right, this is where we made the mistake. It's always been harder for the fighters that have won a few fights, and I'm like, right, there's a few holes to patch up here. Nah, I'm good, Lee, mate. I'm not. And it's almost like I know what I'm doing. And then it was that sort of that shake, and I'm like, you do know what you're doing. I'm not taking that away from you, but there's still this is why I'm your coach, and this is why I can see the gaps in your performances, and I'm seeing low hands or you're not finishing with the kicks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I always found that like every fight that happens in the gym, doesn't matter if it's one of the kids, one of the the younger team, like the 16-year-olds or whatever, or if it's one of the adults, I always find that everything then after that fight, no matter the result, everything's leveled up a little bit. I always find that no matter what happens within that preparation, you always find out something, you always learn something, and you may not take it on the night. You may find something. I'm not on about like the fighter, but I'm on about like the training and preparation. Do you know what I mean? So like you'd always find something. You're like, right, in the next time we do this preparation, let's add this in, or let's look at the explosiveness on this. So let's find that. And I always find that after every fight, as a coach and as a team, you kind of like you progress anyway. And then I
Yeah,
think having the right attitude, as you said, from all the fighters, where they see that there's the holes that need to be patched in, as we said, and then them taking that on and going forward with it. I think that's where it leads into that the relationship building then as well. Do you know what I mean? And then I think then everything gets a lot easier between you and your fighter, because you've got to have trust in your corner, haven't you? If you haven't got trust in your corner, you,
paramount. Yeah.
and I think that's one of the biggest things that, like, with gyms, when they you have 3 or 4 people in the corner that are all there to kind of like benefit, and obviously they're all been in the preparation with you and all that type of stuff. And as I said, I find that when you've got guys who are consistently fighting, consistently active, and
Yeah.
I always do find that it does take the gym up a little bit as well,
Oh, 100%. Like we had a lad who used to train out of our gym, Leighton.
Mm.
Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago, but he was, he was 18 years old at the time when he passed. But he was dominating. He was fighting some of the biggest names in the UK. He fought Tom Kirk. He's fought guys all over that division, and he was absolutely smashing it. And he got on, like, CFS shows. He was on other big promotions. He won a 4-man tournament on Super Fight Series in
Yeah.
Wales.
Yeah.
He was absolutely smashing it, and you saw the level of the gym climb very quickly.
Yeah.
So having someone that was competing that regularly, and it was pulling more people into the gym as well, because people seen what he was capable of and thought, well, that's really good, man. Where'd you train to? And then he mentioned where he trains. I want to come and train there. So we picked up, really good level of students, and as I say, the whole level of the gym jumped dramatically in a very short amount of time.
Mm.
And then when we lost him, we almost took a bit of a back step. So we took a year out of competition completely. Everyone stepped back. We all had, healing to do, basically.
Of course.
And off the back of that, then we've now come back stronger. So we're back on the competition side of it now. We're pushing fighters out there, like you've had, a couple of our guys on your show.
Mm-hmm.
Jack is probably one of our most active fighters at the moment. As I say, he'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, any place, any weight, mate. He's not fussed. He's just, I'll fire over to be like, oh, mate, there's an option here for a fight next week. Yeah, I'll have it. Where is it? What time? There's no question. That's what I love about Dak in that respect. Of he'll fight. Same as Ethan. Ethan's the exact same. When I mentioned the fight on your show, he was like, yeah, all right, let's do it.
I got that from the two of them. Like I spoke to the both of them prior to the show, and
I did what?
and Deck's words were basically just, "I'm going to bring violence," and I think it was like 3 or 4 times within the interview, like the fucking hairs on my arms were standing up, and I was having goosebumps and all that type of shit, because it does, man. Like you said, when you got guys who are literally coming to put it all on the line, you're just like, fucking, here we go. And he is one of those, he's one of those people that's definitely doing that. And
he is down for it.
Yeah. And Ethan, exactly the same. For a big dude who, as a heavyweight, who can fucking move the way he does.
He flies, doesn't he? He flies. He's coming on leaps and bounds. He's only been with us just over 6 months.
I know, that was with the conversation we had. So when we matched him up, like the Math Academy down here, the head coach Lou Long, and when they offered us Peter, we were kind of like, all right, this is one of them, because obviously, being both heavyweights and they both kind of like fresh to the scene, and we knew that was going to be a good fight. But fucking hell, from the two of them, what a scrap! As both debuts, like.
I was gutted. I was actually away at the event, so I actually missed it. But I got sent the video straight away. And as I say, like for me, it was Ethan coming out with the flying strikes and the flying knees and all sorts. I'm like, dude, 6'7" and like almost 120 kilos, and he's flying through the air. The only other heavyweight I've seen do that is Nathan Cook. And he's flying now in the UK scene or international scene as well. But as I say, he's the only person I've seen of that size and stature move like that.
Yeah.
Normally heavyweights were just flat-footed, we plant in the middle, we just
go
throw bombs. But
yeah.
Well, sparring with Ethan, as I say, he's my main sparring partner.
I was just about to say, obviously, being the same size, I bet that you two, you shared the ring a little bit, especially in preparation for that one, and going forward as well, because having the size, and I get it, you need sparring partners the same size as you, because otherwise, especially as a heavyweight, it's hard, isn't it?
Well, this is the thing. Like during my fight career, going back to that, when I was competing, I had the nearest guy to my weight was Darren Anstey. So I had Darren, who was absolutely fantastic. He fluctuates in his weight. He could get right up to my weight, and as I say, sparring with Darren was probably the biggest test I've had. I've lost some brain cells with Darren. But yeah, when Darren then moved to Storm Gym in Luton, I lost all heavyweights. I had no one really to move around with. So when I took my last fight, I was having to travel all over the place to try and find sparring. And then literally as I sort of knocked it on the head, this absolute gargantuan walks through the door in Ethan. And I just thought, where were you 2 years ago, mate? But now, as I say, he's flying with it. He's absolutely flying with it. And everything I ask him to do, it's done. There's no question in it. There's no, some people you'd be like, right, I've got your fight next week or next month, and it'll be, and then the excuses start rolling out. My cat's friends, nan's, uncle's not very well, and I got none of that with these boys. Like Beck, I'm like, you got a fight next week. Sweet, who am I fighting? Ethan's just like, so as I mentioned it in conversation, it was Stretch who mentioned it to obviously that you guys were looking to match up, and I just mentioned it in a passing comment like there could be a possibility here, Ethan, for a debut. He's like, when? I was like, it's a bit short notice, mate. It's like 3 weeks time. He's like, it's plenty of time. Let's go. That was his genuine reaction. Like, let's just go. Let's just have it. I'm up for it.
Yeah, I got that from
him. As a coach, that's all I want. That's all I want.
It is
people that want it.
Yeah, I got that from him. Like I said, I interviewed. We'll talk about Ethan's fight now. So I interviewed Ethan, and he told me prior, and he told me he fucking said how game he is, and he said to me he was the same as Deck. He was like, I'm coming to fight, man. Plain and simple. I'm coming to fight, and this is what it is. And then when I met him on the day and stuff, and then I purposely made sure that I was at ringside to watch Deck and Ethan's fight. Obviously, Ethan was third, I think. So Ethan come out third, and I was like, right, we fucking going heavyweights. Let's go. And as you said, on one of the things that I wanted to touch on was his aggression and his intent in the early rounds. He'd done what he said. He come to fight, and he come to make sure that he put it on Peter, and he put it on a pace on him. I think that it smothered him a little bit, and I think that obviously then Peter couldn't handle, and he couldn't take it back, and that's one of the things that Ethan, I think, as from on the outside, is he works so well to tie because the continuous clinch and the knees, and it was such a good fight to watch, especially being the debut. But the both of them, fucking absolute scrap, like.
I watched the fight back, and credit where it is to the other lad, mate, Peter. He absolutely brought it. They both did, and like I was always thinking, I was like, who have they found to match Ethan? You know what I mean? How have they managed to find someone as big? And then I watched the video, and the guy's a couple inches shorter, but the dude's stacked, mate. And to watch them both stand there and throw absolute bombs until the final bell. And even as you say, like in most heavyweight fights, like especially in your earlier days, you're blowing out your ass after a round. Neither of these boys were. They were both absolutely balls to the wall until that final bell.
Exactly. And that was one of the things that the commentary even said. They mentioned that in the commentary. They said that, like, normally in your debut, the composure from the two of them, you could see it, and it was good to watch. Now, one of the things you said there was it was Ethan's debut, and obviously taking confidence from that to come from Weymouth down to the Rhondda to fight somebody and then to take the victory. And I'm not saying that the mat at a home gym, but they're 10 minutes away from the venue. Do you know what I mean? So it's like to come down, to have that confidence to come in and do it. So what's next for Ethan now? What's the plans?
Get him at the Lumpini Stadium fighting one of the best ties in the world. No, for the moment, mate, it's just literally just building him up. So we're looking to get him matched again in the near future, get him out, and just keep pushing. But as for me, it's fantastic to have another southpaw. So I'm a southpaw, and I try and I've got my own my little tricks and stuff that I've learned along the way, and things that have paid for me well throughout my fight career. And one of the big things for me is clinch, and Ethan absolutely hates the clinch. So for someone to get in there, and as I say, the whole training process, we were working clinch, fire, and everything. He's like, I work my distance and stuff. And I said, mate, just get in there. Once you grab hold of him and start throwing them things you call legs that are like the size of fridges, mate, there ain't gonna be nothing left of him. And as I say, once he got in there, clinched on, got a good lock on the back of the neck, and just started throwing them knees in there, he really is coming on leaps and bounds. And as I say, now he's starting to enjoy the clinch. So straight after that fight, that's all we've been doing, really. Every time we spar, as soon as I touch gloves, I'm going straight in for the clinch. I'm just trying to hang off the back of his neck and just make him work, because that's the area, as I say, he said that he didn't like. So for me, that's the area that I'm pushing on him now, because his striking's great. He's very, very flexible. He moves really well. So yeah, for the next big thing for Heath is just sort of pushing him, try and get him another belt, get him another fight, and just sort of build him up. But
Mm.
there's no rush. He's like 21.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
he's
that's
literally,
true.
this is the beauty of it. So like, I keep forgetting. I think like, when I'm talking to him, I'm like, he's still so young. And he's naturally that size. He's not, a lot of the heavyweights, ex gym heads and all that sort of stuff. They're all like big lads from that respect. Ethan's just naturally 6'7" and 100. He dropped weight for the fight as well, so he's come down
Yeah, I know.
from like when he first started training with us, he was like 130 kilos. And now he's down to like 115. He's moving much better for it. He's just, as I say, so yeah, the next big thing is it's just get him another fight and
Mm.
keep moving with that momentum and just keep pushing him forwards. But as I say, he will fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. He's just game.
Yeah, that's the thing. We've already started looking to match Ethan on the next show 100%. Like after I said to him, he come out and I touched gloves with him straight away. I was like, "You're coming back," and he was like,
Yeah,
"Yes, I am."
he did mention that, and as I say, for us, that's all we want. Every fight we come to, we always aim to bring a war.
Yeah,
When we come in with that maximum violence policy, and it's always been like that. When I trained under King Tiger under Tom many years ago, we were known for the same thing back then. We've always
yeah.
been a small team from Weymouth, but we've always brought the war. We're not ever going to back away from a fight,
Mm.
and that's something that even when we spar, there is sessions that we do turn it up a little bit, and we will sort of take chunks out of each other. And I know there's always that sort of you shouldn't do that, blah blah blah. But it's more of just the conditioning side of it. It's just making sure the boys are ready. Like me and Ethan will stand there, and we will chop each other's legs out. We will just smash each other's bodies and just try not to do too much head contact in that respect. But sometimes it can't be helped, and we end up knocking each other a bit sideways. But I know that Ethan can take a shot. I know
Yeah.
that he is like, I think personally, he will be a name in the UK Muay Thai scene for a long time.
Mm.
And I think he will be surprising a lot of people in the next few years. As I say, he's growing very quickly in the sport. He's only been doing it 6, 7 months.
Well, that's the thing. Like, and he being again, as you said, the size and being naturally that big, and then being able to. Well, one of the things with him is weight. As you said, he's cutting weight. He's slowly losing the weight and stuff. And every time he loses a kilogram, it's going to get 10 times better on his feet. You can
Yeah,
see it. And yeah, I am excited to see what else is lined up for him. And obviously, as I said, we're already trying to match him. And one of the things with heavyweights is there's not many of them, is there?
no,
So, but the thing is, there's not many heavyweights, but that succeeds and says there's many opportunities when there's not many heavyweights, because obviously, there's not many people to fight for a belt. There's not many people to fight for, the promotion and stuff. Like, obviously, we work with the WMO, and I don't know if there's any heavyweights crowned yet. That's potentially something that could happen.
yeah.
This is the
But
thing.
this is what I'm saying. Like, that it's always that like sort of gap as well. Like you go from like amateur heavyweight, and then you literally take that step, and it's like you go straight in. There's not really, I can't think of more than 10.
Yeah.
You look at like the top K1 and Muay Thai names, even the rankings in the UK. There's probably like, I think 5 or 6 K1 guys. You know, maybe 10 Muay Thai fighters that now fighting professionally that have got in the rankings.
Mm.
So there is that big step. So once you go from amateur to taking that step to professional, and I think that's the biggest thing is trying to bridge that gap within
Yeah.
Muay Thai and K1. Because it's, as you say, like you can fight amateur and then it's right, you're going to take your shin guards off now and you're going to fight this person. And I remember my first step up, like going from fighting in shin guards to fighting, bare shin. It was a complete step up.
And it's a complete different fight then, isn't it? Complete
Yeah,
different fight. Complete different
completely
fight.
different fight. So I was
But
quite lucky. I mean, my first pro fight was I had to fight a guy who used to box. So the guy had like 60 odd fights as a boxer. So he was very good with his hands, but I knew he had no legs and he didn't like knees. So that was my game plan: just come out, chop legs, and throw knees until he drops.
yeah,
And it paid off.
yeah.
But now people, this was what, almost 15 years ago. Now, back then, it was like put your flag out, jump in the ring and have it off.
Yeah.
Now everyone's a fucking athlete.
Yeah.
Everyone's on creatine. Everyone's fucking out running every day. Everyone's got 12 different brand deals. Everyone's got fucking sponsors. There was none of that when I first started. It was just like you meet up and have it off in the local community centre, and that was pretty much it.
Dude, that's the
You know,
same as me. I'll be honest, that was one
yeah,
of the reasons I started Flow Fightwear, was because like with I remember my first MMA bout, and do you remember those RDX blood splatter gloves you could get, those white ones with the blood splatter over them, the
Yeah,
MMA gloves. They were the only gloves you could buy. Like, unless one of your friends has gone to Thailand for, a month and coming back with an extra suitcase, you couldn't get any kit. And
yeah.
that was the main reason I started. Well, one of the main reasons I started Flow Fightwear was because of the fact that it kind of give everybody the personalization touch. And as you said, like everyone's got brand deals and fucking this and that and this now. And yeah,
But this is
it
it,
is
man.
different, isn't it, to what it
I
used to
will
be.
give you a shout out though. I will say that obviously we use you guys Flow Fightwear,
Yeah.
mate. Fantastic stuff. Like credit where it's due. It's obviously the first time we've actually had a proper chat.
Mm.
So I'll give you the credit where it's due, man. I'll give you the shout out. Like, we love your stuff. We rep it. We've got the hoodies, got the t-shirts. We want to get some other bits as well.
Yeah.
It's all top quality merch, mate. So credit where it's due. Like, you're making waves in that respect, and it's good to see. Like, you actually put in your passion, into into it, mate, because it comes across. Like the
No, I
hoodies.
appreciate that.
I love my hoodies. I got two of them, and I'm
Yeah.
repping them all the time.
No, I appreciate
Comfy,
that.
versatile, and you can train in them, mate. So
Yeah.
credit where it's due, man.
No, thanks very much, bro. I appreciate that. So one of the other fights now is we're going to touch on Deck. Now,
Yeah,
I interviewed Deck prior to this, and we touched on like he. The only thing he kept saying to me was, "Expect violence, Tom. It's going to be a war. It's going to be a war. Here we go." And I'll be honest, the fight Alfi Brown, like Alfi Brown was coming in, 3 fights in K1. Obviously, I know it was Deck's K1 debut. I know
yeah,
he fights MMA outside, but like to step across against somebody who was quite experienced as well. And what a fucking scrap.
mate.
What a
What a
fucking
scrap.
scrap.
The only thing I will say is, I said to him, "Do not throw any fucking spinning stuff." That's the only thing I said to him. I even put it in thick capital letters in the message before he went out. And what's the first thing he does? Fucking spins and lands on his ass. I was like, no. But apart from that, mate, yeah, absolutely dominant
Yeah,
performance. Both
very
of
good.
them come in for an absolute war.
Yeah, yeah.
But he
And
really is out for it.
he's the as you said, he's the epitome of fighting, and he's turning up, he's scrapping, he's there for it. He doesn't matter day, time, whatever. Let's just fucking get it on. Like he told me that himself, and it's great when you see somebody put that as well. When they back that, when they can, fucking get in, and it was awesome. He's passionate as well. Like we in the walkout,
Yeah.
he would have probably told you this, but like in the walkout, my runners were standing there, and Deck was fucking hyped up, and one of my runners turned to him and said, "Deck, whose house is this?" And he fucking turned and screamed, "My house!" And it was like, "Oh, here we fucking go!" And this was just before they walked out, like so,
Yeah.
and he carried that mentality,
No, I
like.
love that.
And yeah, man, like I said to Deck as well. As soon as I met Deck on the way out, to fist bump straight away. I was like, "And you were coming back too." I was like, "You were fucking, you've done exactly what you said." Now, one of the things, man, that I took from Deck, right, which was really good, was he was countering that low kick with an overhand right or a straight right every time, and he would like kind of catch the kick and
Yeah.
fire straight through. I think that was beautiful. I think that was working for him every time, and he was catching the shot, firing, letting go straight away, and then re-engaging. And I think that showed a real, a real like wealth of knowledge in the fact that he knew that he had to let it go. Considering he's an MMA fighter where you normally grab the leg, go, 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 but he was like catch, fire, let it go, keep going. And yeah, I think technically it was such a good fight to watch. The whole crowd was screaming through that one.
I'd like to hear, man. This is it. So, like, one of the things we go over, like, big thing at our gym is obviously rule sets.
Mm.
So, knowing the difference between rule sets and making sure, like, if you are fighting K1, it is grab, catch, release. It's strike and release, strike straight back again. It's that sort of we work a lot of K1 drills. We work a lot of Dutch drills.
Yeah.
A lot of touch beat. If you get touch them straight back. Blah 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 blah. Stuff like that. And that is the stuff that we really alliterate and really push in our training. Is making sure that you've got everything you need for the fight, and you've also got the knowledge of what the rule set is, how everything works. Because that's the worst thing, is taking a fight and then not quite understanding what the rule set is, or making a mistake in the ring, and potentially costing you your win if you don't know the rule set. So that's something we really sort of alliterate on is the rule set. And as I say, for me, my background is Muay Thai, but most of my fights were in K1. Because back, say 15 years ago, 10 years ago, it was easier to find a K1 fight than there was a Muay Thai fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone was, not just that. A lot of people that would put the Muay Thai on, if you didn't quite understand what Muay Thai was, and you come to watch the show, and you spend 5 rounds with a Muay cow who spends the whole time in the clinch, it's not very interesting to watch if you don't understand the sport. And I think K1 back then was, oh, it's just punches and kicks and they're having it off and it's entertaining to watch. So people would come and watch that. So yeah, that was something that, as I said, that's where my background really lies, and that's something that I try and push across to the guys here. That it's an aggressive, forward-moving style. We angle off, we counter anything that's thrown at us, and we always land first and we always land last.
Mm.
And that's what I was trying to alliterate with the guys. And as I say, Deck's good as gold. You literally you drill it, you show him, and then he's away. He's off. He knows exactly what he's doing, exactly where to put things. And as you say, every time that guy threw the kick, he was counting with the overhand right. And it's just, this is stuff that he practices in training. This is stuff that he is trying to actively land as much as he can in training, because where we are at a standard now where it's not just like kick and step back and relax and kick. It's that sort of, you touch me, I'm touching you straight back. And it's almost trying to build that almost like a Dutch style within the gym.
Yeah.
So even the guys that fight Muay Thai, like Ethan, I said, just because you're big and heavy and you can, walk your way in slowly, I don't want none of that. I want to see you come aggressive, forward, double jab, big leg kick, stepping in, big midsection kicks, knees. Just trying to be the aggressive fighter. It always comes back to that, like, Mike Passenger, like as he says, you don't leave it up to the judges, knock them out, finish the fight, or put on such a dominant performance that there's absolutely no way that it can go the other person's favour. And that is something that I alliterate all the time. It's just be the aggressive fighter.
Yeah, and one of the sides is to that, like you said, in both, you've got Ethan, who's a heavyweight, being the aggressive fighter, where it's big, daunting, and scary, where he's in your face, and then one of the biggest things that everyone asks then is the cardio there. And then if you're putting that pressure on your opponent where they're constantly working backwards, it just saps them, and it just saps the energy out of them completely. And then same with Deck, as you said, like having Deck doing, being 60 odd kilo and doing the exact same thing and putting the same pressure on. Like you can see it in the fight. You take a low kick and then you march forward, or you take the low kick, throw the right down, march forward again. And it was, and you can see the pressure. Like both of them, actually. Shout out to Mark and Lewis from our commentary. They both mentioned the ring craft from both fighters, saying that how they held the center and worked it through. So, you can definitely see that the stuff that you're doing in the gym is definitely transitioning into obviously competition. And well, you can see that. Like both of them went in and put on a absolute great display of martial arts, and then not just that, both come out with a victory. Like.
Yeah, for me that was the big thing, like as I say, like we never look at anything as a loss. We've never lost anything.
Yeah.
For me, stepping through the ropes and getting in there is a win.
Yeah.
The experience is a win. It's all a win. But to actually come away with that and have, like for me, for Ethan, getting the unanimous decision as well, which was massive. I just thought all three judges have gone in your favour, mate. It shows that you were dominant in every aspect of it.
Yeah.
And as I say, both of them, we've mentioned it, we've come across it. They both just come for war. Like if I could put, the other person I want to give a shout out, and I'd love to get on your show at some stage, will be Kellen Sandry. He's my, I say, protege. He is literally, he puts it on Deck. He puts it on Ethan. This kid's 15 next week.
But that was my
first head contact bout coming.
That was my next question is,
so
who else is coming out? Obviously we know about Deck and Ethan breaking through, and I know obviously you've got some of the younger talent that's already that we tried to match on the previous one that we didn't get out, but is there anybody else that's bursting through? Because obviously like you said, if this is your style,
there's another lad, Vinny. Yeah, we got another lad called Vinny, who's his 18th birthday today, so happy birthday, Vinny. Give him a little shout out. But he's flying. He's been with us just under a year. He's had 2 fights, 1 win, 1 loss. Fought on some really good shows. He has got forward-moving, aggressive, body-snatching, soul-snatching style. He literally hits so hard. The kid's 72 kilos, so there's potential to get him matched up. We've got Poppy Hall. We're trying to get her she's now starting to transition into doing head contact and sparring and stuff, but she's come back from a junior background. But she's an animal. She is literally a little beast. She is the epitome of what I teach. Walk forwards, throw heavy shots. Every shot that hits you, fire back harder.
Was Poppy down in the show? I'm sure she was cornering, wasn't she? Yeah, she was. Yeah, I seen the t-shirt.
You had Poppy and you had Adam and you had Kellen as well. So Kellen was the other lad in the corner. But yeah, those 2 have been with me since I owned my own gym. So they've been with me now 8 years. And to see how far that them 2 have come it's massive. As I say, Kellen won his first WKO world title on the World Open tournament last year. So he like literally smashed up a kid's legs to the stage where the kid could barely walk after the fight. And this was, credit where it's due, mate. He is going to be like, mark my words now, Kellen Sandry. That name will be a name that will ring out throughout the martial arts world. He will absolutely dominate. And the
One of
same with Pops.
one of the other sides to this, right, is as you said, they're still quite young as in age, but they're cornering as well. They're cornering fighters. They're coming down. They're experiencing the day as a coach, as a fighter. They're doing it all, and I just think that experience then is just adding into that arsenal that they've already got. And then fight day is just speaking to come up, just another Saturday now. Let's just go and do
Yeah.
what we got to do. And
This is it, Tom. This is it. And as I say, like for me, it's I know their level of experience and intelligence. Like I can throw Poppy or Kellen in any corner anywhere, and I know that they'll give sound, solid advice. Because for me, they've been there, they've experienced it, they know what it's like to have the stacks, the whole card stacked against you, and you are taking a bit of a beating, and it isn't going your way, and they know the exact same things to say, the right things to say. Sorry, whereas some coaches will just be, this is how it's going to go down. We're going to do this, this, and this. If it doesn't go to that plan, it almost goes out the window. They don't really know how to sort of to deal with it.
yeah,
But with these two, mate, they're absolutely fantastic. And as I say, I've taken Kellen a couple of times now. He tapped me out and he's cornered and stuff. And I always, it always normally runs through me. So I'll give all the advice in the corner. But sometimes I'll step back and say, is there anything else that you guys can see? And both of them will give solid, sound advice or things that even I've missed. And I'm like, I'm not saying I'm the be all and end all. I'm still, I've only been coaching now 10 years. But for me, it's when I go to shows, I'm still watching, I'm still learning, I'm still figuring out how to be a better coach and how to implement things at the time, and not just at shows, but overall in general.
but that's the thing. Like
So for me, it's all a big learning curve.
Yeah, it touches back on that thing that we said about earlier, and it's like whenever you get guys fighting, the whole team and the whole gym, and you as a coach, you feel like you progress as well, and that's the thing when you go to these shows. I'm the same as you, but like there's two in my corner when anyone from Apollo Sports fights. So there's me and Liam also is the one who runs the show as well. So like I'm the voice, but he's like the quiet one in the year. He's like, right, you tell him he's got to work the body. He's got to be doing this. He's got to be doing this. He's got to be doing that. And as you said, people have their own ways of doing things. And then I've been in corners then where you'll have three people saying something, or you'll have this person will be directing the hands, this person will be directing the kicks, this person will be directing the clinch. And you've seen that, and it's great to learn. And one of the things is, man, like it doesn't matter if you're training or fighting or just being there. It's like every day's a school day when you're around martial arts, and it like everyone's got their own way of doing something. So it's always good to see what everybody else is doing in it, and you can take the best from everybody around you. And I always find that, like every time you go to any show, it doesn't matter what show it is, everywhere you go, I always find that you learn something.
Yeah, well, it's like I was at a show literally a couple of weeks back, and I was watching one of the best coaches in the country, Alex Foreman, and I was watching him and just listening to things he was saying to his team and how he was directing around the ring throughout the fight. And it was just, for me, I learned so much from that. And it was something that I then took back and sort of implemented straight away with the guys at the gym. It was like, right, let's get this stuff down. Let's nail this down. And it's like, Muay Thai it's evolving.
Yeah.
It wasn't like nothing like this when I was doing it 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It was literally like you saw your punches, you saw your kicks, you saw your knees. If they clinched up, it was grab the back of the head, throw some knees. If you can get an elbow in there, great.
Yeah.
But now it's you got your sweeps, your catches, the transition between each movement, your feints, everything. It's growing. And as I say, I think a lot of that comes down to stuff like, the shows now, and like one championship and things like that. You're seeing the highest level of practitioners, and that now becomes available for us.
Yeah.
If once you've seen it, there's nothing stopping you from implementing it in your training, and that's what a lot of guys are coming in now and they're doing. And like for example, Vinny, he comes in, he loves all the Japanese K1 stars, so that's where he's basing his style around these Japanese guys. And as I say, for me, it's a lot of calf kicking and stepping out and body shots and stuff. So, but that's his style and that suits him down to the ground. So he's learning that from them. So it's like for me, it's just as a coach, as I say, like I might be your coach, but at the same time, there's still so much you can learn from other people and other gyms.
Of course.
That's what I try and say to people. Like if you do have a fight, pull them in.
Yeah, one of my things my coach told me when I was coming through, he said to me, he was like, I don't care if you go anywhere else to go and do a bit of sparring, I don't care if you go anywhere else to go and do some jiu-jitsu, or you go to a different Thai gym, or you go to a different wrestling team or whatever. It's like, take it all, make it work for you. If it doesn't work for you, don't use it, but take it all. Don't hide yourself away from getting better and putting yourself in a position where you can learn. Like, and that's one of the things with it, isn't it? You know, like everyone's adapting and growing, and you should just catch up with it and keep going with it.
Yeah, definitely.
You
Definitely. I
know?
think, as you say, like for me, I remember when I first started coaching, and it was a couple of my guys went to another gym, and I got a bit assy about it. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, "What are you going there for?
Mm.
What are they better coaches?" And it was almost like it felt like a dig at me. And I
Yeah.
was thinking, hold on a minute, Lee, this isn't actually about you, mate. This is about them wanting to improve themselves, and there could be potentially someone there that can teach them something that you don't know.
And that's one of the
It's almost,
learning points that you take as a coach, isn't it?
yeah,
You know,
big time.
you learn
Yeah,
that about yourself and about how to handle it then. So then you're like, right, now going forward, going for the next time, if this happens again, this is how I'm going to deal with it.
yeah,
Yeah, 100%, man. And
yeah.
it
It's the way to be,
references,
mate.
yeah, it references back to everything we said, doesn't it? It's like, just, it's fucking learning, just keep going, keep building, and keep getting better, you know?
This is it, mate. This is
So
it.
we spoke about those five that are going to be coming down. Obviously, that's what we're going to try and do, is get them all mashed up again. We spoke about
Yeah,
the five guys are going to be coming out, and one, like I said, obviously we've seen Deck and Ethan. Both fights are available on the Rhondda Rampage YouTube, so you can rewatch them all back. And I'll be honest, both fights are definitely something I would
they're
definitely get.
epic, mate.
Yeah, definitely watch back. Now, one of the last thing really now is, obviously, as you said, you missed the last show, you know, but you were quite involved anyway. And obviously going into the next one now, next was August the 25th, 4th. Are you going to be coming down for that one?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If our guys are matched up, I'll be there for the next
Yeah.
one.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
I'll definitely be there for that one, mate.
Love it. Now we're going to wrap it up there, brother. So I just want to ask, is there any shout outs, any sponsors or anything you want to give out to?
I got no sponsors, mate. I don't do none of that. No, just shout outs obviously to Valhalla Martial Arts in Weymouth. The leading martial arts gym locally. We're dominating. We're walking, not talking. So just getting it done, really, mate.
Love it, man. I love it.
That's
Awesome.
about it.
Awesome. So as I said, guys, that's the end for us. So we're back August 24th, Thomastown Social Club, Rhondda Rampage 5. Tickets are now available on Boxed. We're looking to get the WMO back. We're also going to be looking to put on some more hybrid boxing. We've got some boxing, K1 and Muay Thai. So just want to say thanks to our sponsors, Conk's Barbershop, captured by Jazz, Nails by Sancha, Fighting Homelessness, and a massive shout out to our new sponsor, Pop Shot, which is an organic juice distributor, which I'll be honest, bro, it's class. They can have a stall there and stuff on the evening. But as I said, catch us all on YouTube for the full fight replays. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you all. Thanks very much, Leah. Really appreciate your time, brother.
Mate, thank you. Cheers for having me on, mate.
Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.